Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that one company, not a country, controls the oceans, owns armies, builds cities, prints money, starts wars, and makes people richer than kings. Sounds like a movie, right? It actually happened. 400 years ago, a business became so powerful that its value adjusted to today's money would be over $8 trillion. That's more than Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Tesla combined. But here's the crazy part. This giant didn't fall because it ran out of money. It collapsed because of greed, corruption, and decisions that every modern investor still makes today. Our story begins in Europe during the early 1600s. At the time, spices weren't just ingredients. They were luxury products worth fortunes. A handful of pepper could cost weeks of wages. Cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg were so valuable that merchants risked storms, pirates, and disease just to bring them home. Every successful voyage could multiply an investor's money many times over. The tiny Dutch Republic saw an opportunity. Instead of letting dozens of merchants compete against each other, they combined their efforts into one enormous corporation. In 1602, the Dutch East India Company, known as the VOC, was born. Investors from across the country pooled their money, becoming some of the world's first shareholders. Without realizing it, they helped invent modern investing. The VOC introduced something revolutionary. Instead of funding one dangerous voyage at a time, people could buy a small piece of the company itself. If the company earned profits, investors shared the rewards. If it failed, they only lost what they invested. Groundbreaking. This innovation created one of the world's first stock markets, where people bought and sold shares every day. Suddenly, wealth wasn't just for kings or nobles. Ordinary merchants could own part of a global empire. Money itself became something people could trade. A simple piece of paper could make someone incredibly rich, or leave them with nothing. And that was only the beginning. Imagine if your favorite company announced tomorrow, "We're hiring not software engineers, but soldiers." Sounds impossible today, but that's exactly what happened over 400 years ago. As the Dutch East India Company grew richer, its ships carried cargo worth fortunes. Pirates wanted it, rival nations wanted it, local rulers wanted a share. Instead of paying countries to protect them, soon the VOC had thousands of soldiers, massive cannons, heavily armed ships, and powerful forts stretching across Asia. It wasn't just selling spices anymore. It was negotiating treaties. Think about that for a second. This wasn't capitalism as we know it today. It was corporate power on a level the world had never. The company's greatest weapon wasn't its ships. The VOC wanted to be the only company allowed to buy and sell certain spices. If farmers sold to competitors, they could lose everything. Entire islands became dedicated to growing nutmeg, and here's how the money flowed. Farmers harvested spices for very little. European nobles paid astonishing prices because these spices were rare and prestigious. The difference between buying cheap and selling today, we'd call it controlling the supply chain. By now, the VOC had discovered something even. Instead of spending every coin they earned, they used profits to buy more ships. Those profits funded more ports, larger warehouses, stronger fleets, and new trading routes. For many people, the VOC wasn't just a business. It was the closest thing to a money-making machine the world had ever seen. Small cracks had already begun to appear. The year is the mid-1600s. The Dutch East India Company is no longer just successful. It has become an economic superpower. Hundreds of ships sail across the Indian and Pacific Oceans, carrying spices, silk, tea, porcelain, coffee, and precious metals. Warehouses overflow with valuable goods before they are shipped to Europe, where wealthy customers eagerly pay premium prices. Investors celebrate as dividends arrive year after year. Amsterdam becomes one of the financial capitals of the world, and the company's shares are traded almost every day. In today's money, historians estimate the VOC's peak value would be worth several $1 trillion, making it one of the most valuable companies ever created. Its influence stretches across continents. It controls trade routes, negotiates with kings, and governs overseas territories. For many Europeans, the company seems unstoppable. As profits continue pouring in, many company executives begin believing the money will never stop. Instead of focusing on efficiency, some become careless. Others begin living extravagant lifestyles paid for by company resources. Employees stationed thousands of miles from headquarters discover they can secretly trade goods for themselves. Some hide spices inside personal cargo. Others accept bribes from local merchants. A few manipulate company records to make missing goods disappear. The farther the ships travel, the harder it becomes for headquarters to monitor what is really happening. The business is still making money, but small leaks are appearing everywhere. Like a giant wooden ship taking on water, the company looks magnificent from the outside while slowly sinking from within. While the VOC is distracted by its own success, something unexpected happens. Other European powers refuse to watch from the sidelines. The English East India Company expands rapidly. French merchants enter Asian markets. More competition means lower prices, higher costs, and shrinking profits. Wars across Europe disrupt shipping lanes. Pirates attack valuable cargo. Storms sink expensive vessels before they reach port. Insurance costs rise, while maintaining forts and soldiers becomes increasingly expensive. The business model that once generated incredible wealth now requires enormous spending just to keep operating. The company that once dominated global trade is forced to fight harder every single year simply to stand still. As profits shrink, the company faces a difficult choice: cut costs or borrow money. Instead of reducing its massive operations, the VOC borrows heavily to maintain its ships, armies, forts, and overseas colonies. Loans temporarily hide the company's financial weakness, but interest payments continue growing. Every new voyage must now earn enough to cover not only operating expenses, but also old debts. Investors begin asking difficult questions. Why are dividends becoming smaller? Why is growth slowing? Why are expenses rising? The answers are uncomfortable. The world's richest company is no longer growing because of profits. It is surviving because of borrowing. And history has shown, time after time, that businesses built on debt alone cannot outrun reality forever. For nearly 2 centuries, the Dutch East India Company looked invincible. Its ships crossed oceans, its forts guarded trade routes, and its wealth seemed endless. But by the late 1700s, the cracks had become impossible to hide. Years of corruption had drained the company's profits. Managers often cared more about protecting their own positions than fixing the business. Employees continued private trading. Expensive wars consumed enormous amounts of money. Several conflicts between the Dutch Republic and Britain severely disrupted international trade. Ships that once returned packed with valuable cargo were delayed, captured, or destroyed. The money stopped flowing. Bills kept arriving. Creditors demanded payment. The company that once controlled global commerce suddenly found itself struggling to pay its own debts. It was thousands of bad decisions quietly accumulating over decades. Finally, reality won. In 1799, after almost 200 years of operation, the Dutch East India Company officially ceased to exist. Its remaining assets were taken over by the Dutch government. Ships, ports, warehouses, debts, and colonies all passed into state control. The world's greatest corporation had collapsed. Ironically, the company that helped invent modern investing also became one of history's earliest examples of corporate failure. Investors lost confidence. Entire trading systems had to be reorganized. Yet even in failure, the VOC left behind something extraordinary. Its ideas survived. Modern capitalism would continue using many of the financial, its blueprint lived forever. Look around today. Every time someone buys shares in a company, you can trace part of that story back to the Dutch. The VOC proved something the world had never fully understood before. Thousands of ordinary investors could combine their money to finance projects too expensive for any. That simple idea changed history. Railroads were built, factories expanded, but the company also taught another lesson. No amount of wealth can protect an organization from poor leadership. No monopoly lasts forever, and no investor should ignore warning signs simply because yesterday's profits looked impressive. History doesn't just repeat itself. Sometimes, it quietly rhymes. The Dutch East India Company wasn't simply the richest company in history. It was a giant experiment, an experiment that created fortunes, connected continents,